Welcome to video 7, Choice and Opportunity Cost, from the numbers to logic. As we saw with the production possibility frontier video, at any given time and with any given resources, Sophie, a deserted young woman stuck on an island, was faced with constraints as to how much she could produce in any given time period. We are getting to the core of economic principles here, choice. Let's imagine that Sophie has allotted 8 hours a day to collect her fruit or to go fishing. She makes a decision allotting her time based on several immediate factors, such as: does she always need to go and collect fresh fruit? Does she have enough fish drying out as stored food? Is the weather pleasant enough to leave her shelter? Are her tools, her fishing net and her ladder, in good working order? Are the fish still in the same areas? Are the usual trees still in fruition, or does she need to consider substitutes or alternatives? Is she in good health to work for 8 hours? Now, business studies students could summarise her daily work schedule with SWOT analysis. What are her personal strengths and weaknesses, and what are the external opportunity and threats that she is facing? We could add other variables too, but I want to come back to her modality of having to choose between two alternatives given her perceptions of herself and her environment. As noted in the PPF video, the Production Possibility Frontier video, when Sophie chooses one path over another, she gives up what she could have gained on the other path. To put all her energy into securing 20 pieces of fish, she gives up 40 pieces of fruit. This is a powerful notion. It's childlike in its simplicity and is captured by the simplistic phrase, "You can't have your cake and eat it. If you want to keep it, you can't also consume it." Choice gives a sense of a reality check. What are her anticipated effects of the choice? I'm going to introduce a new character now, hundreds of miles away from Sophie on her sunny desert island, Edward. He's studying economics and faces a choice to either spend some money on a new pair of jeans or a new textbook for his course. If he buys the jeans, he can't buy the textbook, and vice versa. I'm not judging what he does, but we can get a bit more subtle in our analysis of his choice in economics. Now let's say that the jeans and the book are the same price. £50 for a pair of jeans and £50 for a textbook. Once the exchange has been made, for the jeans say, the textbook cannot be bought. A decision etymologically means a cutting away from, like incision is a cutting into, something surgeons do. A decision is a cutting away from. We're cutting away from the past once we've made a decision. There are wonderful hints in the language that we use. Now, why the student Edward chooses the jeans over the book is based on its subjective valuation of the two commodities. It's not the difference in price. They are two different commodities. Of course, the price plays a part in his assessment, but it cannot be considered to be the ultimate reason for his choice. What we have to consider is his subjective assessment of the potential flow of values accruing our Edward after his purchase. The values do not exist as such out there, waiting to be grabbed and typed into a spreadsheet. That can only give us a price comparison and at best a consideration of the depreciation of the prices on the second-hand markets over the next few years, which can be important to investment decisions. But logically, the future and all of its events and all of its relationships to Edward as he puts on his jeans to go out do not exist as actual values, prices, emotions, associations that he makes at the point of exchange, because he certainly believes that there will be greater benefits flowing to him from buying the jeans compared to buying the textbook. Consider these, his anticipations. Edward may be going out on a date. That date is special to him, and he wants to feel and look good. His other jeans have holes in them, and he has some sense of vanity that a new pair of jeans would appeal to. He does not want to look unfashionable, or at least not presentable to his date. In effect, that cost is worth more than £50 to him. He would actually gladly pay up to £100, say, before he couldn't afford to pay for the meal. His date is a special person, and he wants to impress her. But he also considers that the need for the textbook is not that pressing. It is early in the term, and he will be earning some money over the weekends to pay for the textbook by the end of the month. And besides, he expects that the textbook price could fall, as last year's A-level students could be getting rid of unnecessary books they own as they transition over to university. He's thought all this through, some of it emotional, some of it rational as it were, some of it forecasting. To the economist, we don't care how he comes to his conclusion. The fact that he does suggests that he prefers the jeans over the book right now. His action is conscious. Even though there may be subtle, subliminal, and liminal reasons and reactions and associations for his choice, he still admits that he makes a choice and of his own free will. Okay, he may regret the purchase later, but for now, at the point of exchange, his choice is his to make based on his own subjective preferences. Therein lies the essence of opportunity cost. He makes a conscious decision based on what he believes to be the values he will experience enjoying the jeans and forgoing the textbook purchase. There will be many factors involved that are based on his assumptions about how things will turn out. That his date cares for his appearance, that she likes jeans, that he will continue to get work on the weekends to save up for his textbook, that no other emergency expenses will denude his account and hinder him from buying the textbook, that there will be books available online to purchase, and that the price will be falling. Then, what if the date leads to another date, with her parents at a more expensive restaurant, requiring another update to his wardrobe? What if the date fails miserably and no friendship is forthcoming? What if it leads to a more intimate relationship and an unexpected condition, shall we say, in old-fashioned language? Would he regret the purchase then? And so we traipse into the very important concept of opportunity cost. Opportunity cost for our economics courses, and a definition that we need to know, is the cost of the values foregone as a result of his decision. The opportunity cost is thoroughly subjective, purely individualistic. No one else can assess as Edward does, because he's Edward. We're not in his shoes, even though his father may be screaming, "Forget the jeans, get the textbook like I would have done. You'll get a better grade and get into a better university and meet a better class of date and a higher paying job, and oh boy, you're so short-sighted." That's his father's subjective perception of the choice. It's a no-brainer. His dad failed his A-levels and doesn't want Eddie to go the same way. He sees people with degrees earning more than him in his profession and wants Eddie to have a good income and all the associations that his father has of higher standards of living. Can't blame him, but he's not 17 and he's not Eddie, living in his context, which is different from when James, the father, was in college. His mother, Sarah, pipes up, "You enjoy the date, Eddie. I just want you to be happy. I know you'll save for the textbook over the next few weeks." She's more trusting, but her internal voice that Eddie suspects is continuing to advise him, with her eyes locked on him, continues, "And she may be the one. And you can get married in our church and start having babies in a couple of years, and I'm ready to be a grandmother and a mother-in-law, otherwise my sister may have had one up on me, since her son is going to graduate soon and no doubt have children before Edward. And if Edward marries this girl, I can't recall her name, then live locally and not fly the family nest, I don't think I could cope with that, you know." By the way, there's no gender stereotype in here. I've heard the same arguments the other way around. The dad wanted the kids to stay locally and the mum wanting them to make their own way. Back to Eddie. Edward's decision and its consequences are his to make and to bear. He may indeed learn about aspects of his choice that he could just adjust in later choices. Although, in basic economics, we must assume what we call an array of objective values and future values are available to Edward or to anyone, and hence the decision to be made is, for the textbooks and the exams, an objective one, just like choosing between different temperatures by which to heat a pan to secure a boiled egg more swiftly. We must assess the numerical differences given to us for exams and for the textbooks, as if we were a godlike narrator, or Eddie's dad. Consider a textbook rendition of this story and the level 1 of understanding, we could call it. The textbook and the jeans are the same price, but the expected flows from the pair of jeans are less than those of the book. He's going out on a date and will spend probably another £50 or more buying dinner and enjoying a drink. The value of the jeans will also deteriorate quickly in value over a year, say, relative to the textbook that could have another 5 years' worth of value on the second-hand sites. We may be told that by going on a date, he ends up with a D in economics and a job paying £1.2 million lifetime earnings after failing to get into university. Sounds good, but the textbook has the potential for a higher grade, as long as he revises from it, that is, and hence a better grade, a better place at a better university, and a job worth £3 million in lifetime earnings. No brainer, eh? That's what his dad harps on about, and to the spreadsheet analyst who thinks that all values can be sketched out on an input-output table, and a conclusive statement be given to anyone who is unsure about making a decision. Or they could ask the latest AI app for the same result. But then Edward looks up and shakes his head. "You don't know how much I love this girl." And so the story ends with Edward buying a pair of jeans.